Many years have passed since the release of the more or less important part of the Need for Speed. Fans have already flee in all directions, some in Forza, some in Mario Kart, and then 2010 came out Need for Speed, returning to the most hardened pre-underground origins only the series had. Completely different games were involved in the development, completely shoveled so that it did not in any way become similar to the opposite parts. They removed everything that was possible, leaving only races and chases with the police. And so let's see if they managed to revive the series in 2010 or they buried it even deeper in the ground. Back in 2020 came out a remaster. I don't know why you need this information, just like I don't know why this remaster is needed for this world. Well, okay, let's go. And I'll immediately answer the questions of why we need an external remaster which is almost no different from the original. In my case, the original was hanging on the very first cutscene and I couldn't do anything about it, so the remaster saved the situation. Now the game works fine on part of the hardware. Why have I tried playing the original first instead of the remaster? Because in the remaster on my computer I have already gone through half of the game and it is impossible to start the game from the beginning. It was this part that entered the series of diable crap with the absence of a new game button. And in the new EA Play application they also take up everything and remove the open cloud storage item, and therefore even if I delete it manually from the folder of the computer, it will automatically download when opened. In case of Need for Speed 2012 pirate version helped, but in this case the game was not hacked, so I have to buy the game again on a PlayStation, where I myself had not played yet, so that I could start over. Fortunately it was a discount, so I didn't get very poor, but the question to the programmers remained natural. It is hard, bitch, fucking to insert the beginning of a new game into the game. The game kicks off right away with the awesome title theme from 30 Seconds to Mars, which is the only song that was ever stuck in my head. All the others seems to be normal, but I did not notice anything unique and memorable. Also, this supply is not for sale, and therefore when placing it you are always need to look. And immediately discovered the afterlock, a thing that one time entered the game into a multiplayer experience without turning the game into a multiplayer wanker. All racers have records that your friends from Origin are improving and can improve, which will encourage you to go back into the game and noticeably beat his record, and there is separate screen with recommendations for racers that your friend have done better than you. This is a cool innovation for its time which diversifies ordinary racing. Also there is also a multiplayer wonker called Hot Pursuit Online, but I didn't touch it. I launched a single career and immediately saw how lazy the editors were to edit subtitles, that they just took and fucked a wall of text on the floor of the screen, so then my eyes went in different directions trying to read it all. The cutscene ended and a map of not the highest resolution appeared before my eyes, which they decided to bring as close to the camera as possible so that I would understand for sure that the developers of both the original and the remaster were too lazy to put something into the games, something more, or at least not increase this so much. Wherever you look at, everywhere you will find at least some mention of the best part of the series, on which the developers will parasitize for another 20 years probably. But here at least it magnifies itself in an appropriate way.
Your daily activity is measured as bounty. The harder, faster, and more dangerously you drive, the more bounty you will earn.
And money, what, no one will pay me something? Oh, it is not needed for anything, all cars open by themselves and you can use any one for free. And customization and tuning is just a color change and a couple of stickers which is also free. The fact that you have returned to the roots is wonderful and great, but some opportunities to hang out in the garage improving your car at least internally would be a very good addition that I really don't come across. And for each typewriter, rare colorings are different. All of those found are characterized by the same word called nah. Even when opening the machines, they write to us how much it costs, as it bothering us from the both sides. On the gaming side, that there are no incomes here and you don't need this information on the side, and on the life side, in the sense that even with a loan, you are not able to harm most of the machines. And all because this time the developers decided to move away from ordinary everyday cars, leaving mostly expensive supercars, which may be normal, but I personally don't really like them, outwardly, and it was more fun for me to drive something cheap and affordable in the real world, like Mazda RX-8 or Lancer from the beginning of the game. And if I were the cops, I wouldn't go so far to buy the same expensive cars in order to catch those violators, because when you reach 300 km per hour, your life expectancy decreases very significantly, easily. And in fact, these violators would kill themselves and the problem would be solved by itself. And in general, I want Need for Speed with old cars like Porsche Unleashed, but this is just my whining and it's not, and in general I go me fuck myself. But on the other hand, one of the advantages of returning to the roots is interesting voices description of each car, which are sometimes interesting to listen to.
The RX-8 was launched in 2003 and has sold over 160,000 units worldwide.
Of course, these are not full-fledged videos dedicated to each car like it was in the first game, but still nice.
No air conditioning, no radio, no cup holders, no door release levers.
In other words, don't fuck off and buy Lanas. Just like the last Need for Speeds, you don't have to finish first if you don't want to show off in front of your friends. The race will go on and you will even be given some points even if you are the last to arrive. And in the place of this simplification came increases complexity. If in the previous games you no longer see your rivals in a foreseeable radius after 10 seconds, then right up in the very end they will let you notably screw up. They will ram you, use all the weapons on you, actively surprises. Of course you cannot strain and comment random, but then there will be much less XP, you will have to wait longer for a new level and accordingly new fast cars. The same situation with the racers during the chase. He can suddenly break up and go the other way in time, or trick that he is slowing down that I turn around, uses a jammer that turns out my map that I do not notice that he turned around and where he is at all, uses his entire arsenal on me, and in general I have already said it in the video of Rivals. In there and here their artificial intelligence is gorgeous. And at the same time they don't act like cheating assholes, but like real people who may not fit into the turn, use fucking extensions and hate them instead of speeders, use weapons at the wrong time and generally feel very alive. Either the artificial intelligence may decide that it needs to go to the wall. You know these whims of the high intelligence elite, who will understand them. The first time I started playing, I noticed quite a bit of lag, spicing up the 30 frames per second. On the PlayStation now these are crazy graphics setting that I forgot about, and it can't understand that my TV doesn't know what your fucking 4K is. But in any case, it is not very comfortable to play in quality preset. You move the stick and it feels like the car turns the wheel first and only then turns. And switching to the performance preset, everything began to be controlled smartly. As you can already understand, this is no plot in the game at all. And it seems not so bad, but looking at those cool scenes at the beginning of the race and chase, it becomes shame that there is no story behind this. But in any case, the struggling of most of the scenes is very good, and unlike the Most Wanted 2012, they were created without the use of any hallucinogenic substances. And unlike races, chases play their own music, which in a cinematic style adds tension to the battle. If you look a little closer, you can see that this dude driving the race car is exactly the same dude that is driving the police car, and exactly the same dude that sits behind the wheels of the other NPC cars. Because why draw an extra model when you can just copy and paste? Cars only take damage if they rammed from the back or sides, because the broken engine should in no case provoke the car to stop. And it doesn't matter which side of the car is engine on, the car will receive damage in the same places and not receive in the same places. And with what only about if you ram the hood, even if there is a chunk in the hood. But on the other hand, if I stick this very hood in the road block, then with a high degree of probability I will turn into a jumper, and sometimes not. Same with civilians. As usual, their cars are the most powerful of the representatives of the road. And sometimes it would seem, judging by the game logic, I have to drive through the accident unharmed, but suddenly the car decided that it needs to crash. But then exactly the same accident, everything is fine and I pass. How does it work? In the police career there is a race called Rapid Response, which is a time trial. And unlike the Rivals, here we are told that this is a training and there is really no crime. But when I arrive in the finish line, I observe several of my colleagues surrounded by some civilian car. Or is this also part of the workout? And if this is really training, then is it normal at all to risk the lives of civilians drivers and the destruction of property in order to train one single police officer? For this purpose there are no specially allocated routes specifically for these needs. And no matter how fast I drive on these cars, in the cutscene I will instantly stop without scratching anything. And it's also cool that when they increase the rank of the wanted level, they show my avatar with nickname and supposedly there with about me. If I were a 13-year-old, I would be disgusted by such a breaking of a fourth wall. Of course I don't understand anything, but still, where is the car, especially such a small one like this on the screen, at least one such thing man with spikes can fit in the ass, let alone a few. And if the car hit the spikes, it will stop, and immediately after that it will be able to go further. All those little Chinese people replacing tires on the speed of light. A little advice to the governors of the city. Fast car billboards won't help solve the problem of street racers. And to be more precise, aggravate it. The best thing you can find in this game in the Hot Pursuit mode. It is 8-runner race with the police chasing you, or you are in the role of policeman chasing racers. Throughout the race you will be hunted by adrenaline and intensity of the battle, in which both the police and your rivals can throw spikes at you, hit you with EMP or just their bodies. The police can still call a helicopter that throws spikes on a roadblock. All this is played very fun, and even talking in account of presence of the health bar, which infuriated me instantly both in the two parts of the game and in Rivals, immediately due to the fact that after a race you don't have to run away from the police, it's just enough to somehow get to the finish line. And if on the way someone fucks up and they fail the race, then there is no such rage quit on those games, and you are like just okay, I'm a crooked fool, I launch and try again. And now I've been given the ability to call roadblocks, and as a true Need for Speed police officer, I will set up this barrier so that there a place for the passage of at least one car. Otherwise it is not honest somehow to prevent violators from fucking. The only thing I remember about Hot Pursuit 2 is the BMW, or the older version of it, who the fuck knows. And this BMW is also in this game. And yes, I removed the scene of this, even though the BMW is a shitty car. I want it and I will do it.
Just 20 examples of the Reventon went on sale, with the 21st being built for display at Lamborghini's museum.
When someone rants about how unique and different the particular Lamborghini is, I scratch my almost bald head questioningly and can tell one Lamborghini from another, because they are fucking the same. And I'm not saying that cars are bad and not needed in the game. I'm talking about why put so many identical cars pretending that this is variety. I wrote on the one Lamborghini count all the Lamborghini I wrote. Lamborghini owners are too rich to watch my videos, so I don't have to worry about them commenting on calling me a poop. The same with a bunch of identical Porsches, Aston Martins, all sorts of varieties of the same model. Insert something else for a change. I have one more question about the chase when I'm driving a police car. When I participate in a chase as a racer, a huge number of policemen are chasing me, but when I'm behind the wheel of police car, only I am chasing the intruder. Moreover, in the cutscene someone else is driving with me, but in the game itself there is no one else. So the question is, where did they go and why don't they help me to capture the criminal? What happened to the shadows and why did they decide to start running around the car for the police? A police time trial differs from a racing one in that here you get fined for hitting fences and civilians, and given the local control and huge speed of supercars, these fines were incredibly annoying at times. But for destruction of property, all sorts of fences, poles and everything that can be broken, we do not receive any fines. That is, the policeman is allowed to smash everything in his path with immunity to during the regular training sessions. And also, if I crash from a collision with a civilian, then I will not be credited with penalty seconds. That is, the policeman is allowed to crash into civilian's car with impunity if not only he crashes, but I do too with him. Sin to the game for not adding the Camaro coloring from the Transformers. This is the most stupid sin, but I was masturbating at the time on the Transformers, and as if you were not used to stupid nitpicking that did not make any sense, like for the first time. If you endure all the health of the enemy, that he will immediately recover on the road with new health, while my race fails when my health is reset. Not fucking fair. These traffic lights in the background indicate the road with reverse traffic, and on the road with reverse traffic there cannot be a double continuous lane. Who need that physics if you can fly through the piece of stone, really? And also thanks to the game for respawning me at full speed straight towards the wall. What the fuck is going on with this road marking? On the extreme right lane you can only go straight, and in forbidden go right. On the extreme right from the other side you can turn the opposite direction. That is, the crossing lane is not one-way traffic. So here's the questions, what the fuck? And those two Audis are great of maintaining a safe distance. Even though this bug saved my ass, it's still a bug, so go fuck your ass. Stopping and parking in the tunnels is prohibited. In contrast to the useless helicopter in Rivals, here the helicopter is a rather useful thing, which flies around the escaping in front, throws spikes at him and even hits him from time to time and thereby stop the racer. And we were also told that the helicopter has a limited amount of fuel, so limited that it can fly for about a minute. And here are the questions for the pilots. Are you awake at least once to fill a tank full? With what phrase does the machine bounce from the electromagnetic impulse? From time to time I am informed that certain events are now available to me, which, as it seems to me, do not differ at all from what was before. The jammer is designed to jam the signal from something so that electrical appliances and the temp gun do not work. The fact that modern cars have to stop on the spot due to the power outages, I won't give a fuck, because I don't understand anything about this, and with a high degree of probability I'll spawn a garbage. But how does the jammer make the strips with spikes close back into the box? Turning off the machine from live, by the way, also applies to the EMP gun. When it hits me, albeit not completely, but for a few seconds, all the electronics in the car should not be slightly shaken. By the way, about the spikes. Running into them, our car begins to slide until it becomes a muzzle in the right direction. Moreover, if the machine itself have already stopped and there is no longer any inertia, it will still continue to spin. Just like in Rivals, if you aim at one car and it runs out of your field of vision, you will not be able to aim at a new one. And if there are several machines, choose which one to aim will not work. It will choose who it wants to shoot automatically. I have increased the level of roadblocks, and now Cayennes will act as these barriers. Because the more expensive the car, the more likely stop the intruder. Now seriously, they are standing still. Put some kind of garbage there, which is not a pity, like any BMW snuffed with a sandbox, or put some cheap cars in 2 rows and you're done. They don't need to participate in the chase. When I successfully use one of my abilities, a cutscene starts during which artificial intelligence take control, which, judging by the fact that after the cutscene I immediately drove into the wall, he bought driver license from the Husker of transmission. At times physics work in a very interesting way. I hit a policeman who was standing still, which caused him to move the side, continuing to stand still to give me a way to the pass. If during the race I do not have time to catch up with all racers, the chase will end and they will tell me that the racers have fled. At least there is no problem to continue chasing after them race, even if one of them, if they go in different directions, not clear. Of course I could be wrong, but it seems to me that it was not very fair.
Unit update. Enhanced detection technology can now track pursuit targets even when using tunnels.
Because without the use of technology, the helicopter pilot could not argue that if the car entered at one end of the tunnel, most likely with a huge degree of probability it would leave from the opposite end. And all of this splendor ends with nothing. You just reached the last race, what kind of racer, what kind of policeman, your congratulations with the completion of the final race, and credits roll. Maybe there will be another credits when I get to level 20, but I'm too tired to check it out. Yes, the final race is longer than all others and it played pretty high, but still there is not enough epic in the end, which could not have happened if there have been at least some kind of cute story in the game, at least something in the spirit of Rivals. But still there is nothing like this. But be that as it may, the game is turned out to be very cool, especially after a series of wild parts that seems to have already brought the franchise to the grave. Fans of Erandondon may not like this, but for the grandfather who grew up to playing games to the underground, such a return to the original will really come in. But I'm not that old and therefore I lacked some of the scenes familiar to the series in it. So I'll go Erandondon to another game, and you write what kind of Need for Speed you have there, on which you grew up, and repost this video so that as many people as possible were also able to repost this video.